I got to admit to you, I am feeling a little bit left out this morning. I'm feeling like my talents, I'm feeling like my contribution to all these platforms have been completely overlooked. I am extremely saddened by this oversight. This morning, I have been clutching my emotional support shovel, expressing all of my pain, my agony, as I watch my tears roll down the wooden handle. How could this happen? This has got to be some mistake. Maybe my invitation was lost in the mail. Those who know me personally, they know I am absolutely horrible when it comes to checking the mail. On average, I check my mail once every 2, maybe 3 months. Most of the time, the only reason I check it is because the post office has notified me that they are holding my mail at the office because my mailbox is full. But Maybe it was my spam folder. Maybe the spam folder on my Gmail account was too strong. Maybe the invitation got lost in it. Because there is absolutely no way, it's just not possible, that the Streamy Awards were held in Los Angeles last night and KC wasn't nominated. Not only was I not nominated, I wasn't even invited. Well, KC, what the hell's the Streamy Awards? Really? You've never heard of the Streamy Awards? Come on, guys! This award show is prestigious. It's a big deal. It is every streamer's dream to be invited to the Streamy Awards. To be honest with you, I had never heard of the Streamy Awards until this morning. And the small chance that I would have been invited or nominated, instead of using the invitation to gain entry into the ceremony, I would have used that invitation to wipe my dog's ass. According to the Washington Post, this is the internet's biggest award show. By receiving a glowing endorsement from the Washington Post, that should confirm to everyone that this is grade A shit fuckery. Believe it or not, last night was the 13th annual Streamy Awards. This thing's been going on for 13 years now. Most normal people never heard of it. But this ceremony is a very big deal for parishioners at Woke United Methodist. And believe me when I tell you, last night in Los Angeles, the celebration of removed wiener was in full effect. The butt bongo was being beaten so loudly it sounded like a marching band. Hundreds of people are waking up this morning with the woke hangover. Unfortunately, organizers of the event, they were unable to supply Preparation H to combat the hangovers. My inside sources are telling me the supply of Preparation H in Southern California dangerously low. Now, they are blaming that low supply on all the recent looting, but for some reason, they are refusing to charge the perpetrators. They're only stealing because of their circumstances. These victims need the Prep H more than we do. All the A-listers were in attendance last night to accept their awards. Big stars like Chris Olsen. Casey, who in the hell is Chris Olsen? Who knows? Maybe he's related to Mary-Kate and Ashley? But there were other household names like Phantom, Prime, and the Invisible People. Who, and who? I guess Invisible People is a fitting name for this group because for most normal people, the group is invisible. But that's okay. That's okay. Because last night was set aside to celebrate a true superstar. Teenage girls across America have posters of this supreme being on their bedroom wall. Young boys grow up aspiring to be like this identifier. The 2023 Streamy Awards were set aside to worship the deity of deities at Woke United Methodist. Well, KC, who is this Superman? I don't think Superman would be an appropriate description here. Hell, birthing person wouldn't be appropriate either because the person being honored last night, they are unable to conceive children through the traditional process. Now, of course, I am talking about Bob Dylan Mulvaney. Oh, Bobby D. It's been a while since we have talked about Dylan Mulvaney here on the channel. Dylan has been very busy traveling the world searching for safe spaces. Last I heard, Dylan Mulvaney did not feel safe here in America, so I'm kind of confused here. If Dylan doesn't feel safe in America, why would you agree to travel to Los Angeles, one of the most dangerous cities in the country? According to several mainstream media outlets, Dylan Mulvaney was dressed to impress last night. Check it out for yourself. Now, I'm sure many of you guys are pausing this video right now to process your fantasies of becoming the next woke superstar. But Dylan wasn't only invited to the Streamies last night to present an award to some other unknown birthing person. Dylan was actually invited to be honored with the award of Breakout Creator of the Year. What was accomplished to receive an award of this magnitude? Oh, documenting the transition from male to female. Dylan Mulvaney pranced on stage to accept this prestigious award and used this opportunity to give a motivational speech. Now, I'm not going to play the clip for copyright reasons, but I'm going to give you a brief summary of the inspiration provided last night by Dylan Mulvaney. The speech started by claiming, "Oh my life has changed for the better." Well, that's just great. I know of many lives who have not changed for the better. Former employees of Bud Light. Right now, there are thousands of people looking for jobs. Right now, there are thousands of families whose lives have been changed. Also, the life of Dylan Mulvaney could change for the better. But I'm not really biting into this shit sandwich. I don't really believe the life of Dylan Mulvaney has changed for the better. Look, I am not a psychiatrist. I don't have some fancy PhD from Woke U. The only knowledge I have in psychology is based on my own personal research. But I just have a hard time believing that Dylan Mulvaney is really leading a happy life. Like I told you guys before, I actually feel bad for Dylan Mulvaney because I feel like Bobby D is being used and doesn't even realize it. Sure, you might be rich financially, but that doesn't equate to happiness. I'm sure you guys have heard that old saying, money cannot buy happiness. That is not a myth. That is based in fact. Money does not change who you are. It amplifies who you are. Dylan Mulvaney puts on this nice public front of being overjoyed and overly happy all the time. It almost seems like they are trying to convince everyone else of this happiness. I'm always skeptical when I see something like this because it's like, who are you trying to convince here? Are you trying to convince me of your supposed happiness, or are you trying to convince yourself? The speech continued with Dylan Mulvaney claiming there is an extreme amount of transphobia and hate. I can feel it. Where? Where is all this hate and transphobia? Of course, no examples were provided. Examples are never provided. But it seems to me transgender women are being elevated above biological women. So someone please explain to me where this supposed hatred is. There was also a directive given during this speech last night, which I'm sure was created by deacons at Woke United Methodist. Dylan Mulvaney demanded that normal people support transgender people both publicly and proudly. This is where I think the problem comes in for a lot of people. I can agree with your right to transition. If you want to remove your dong and exchange your tuck-friendly bathing suit for a bikini, go for it. It has no effect on me, but why should everyone else be expected to publicly and proudly support your decision? This is your personal decision, has nothing to do with anyone else. You have every right to make life-altering changes to your body, but that doesn't mean that everyone else has to praise you for doing so. The closing of this speech, it sent panic throughout the executive offices at Bud Light. Over the last month or so, the outrage against Bud Light has subsided a little bit. And I wouldn't say business is back to the pre-Dylan era, but the backlash against Bud Light, it has definitely declined over the past few weeks. Dylan Mulvaney closed this acceptance speech by saying, "I'm going to have a beer now, love ya!" I would imagine executives at Bud Light were in an absolute panic. Please, for the love of God, don't drink our beer in public. Thankfully, though, no footage has been released of Dylan Mulvaney drinking Bud Light. That would have been a disaster. The company's lost over $27 billion in the last 5 months. They are hoping business is going to rebound now that football season is starting, but another endorsement from Dylan Mulvaney, that would guarantee huge embarrassing failure. After walking off stage, Dylan was interviewed by some desperate media outlet. They wanted an immediate reaction to receiving this highly sought after award. Dylan Mulvaney said, "I'm so shocked. The only award I ever expected to receive was a Tony Award." What? Correct me if I'm wrong here. Aren't the Tony Awards reserved for television actors? Since when has Dylan Mulvaney been considered an actor? Well, I guess it kind of makes sense. Dylan Mulvaney has been acting for the past 18 months in something called 365 Days of Womanhood, so I guess that would qualify for a Tony Award? Most Outstanding Actor in an Irrelevant TikTok Series? You know, there was a time when Dylan Mulvaney could draw a huge audience for other platforms. I remember when Drew Barrymore worshipped at the feet of Dylan Mulvaney. Most people didn't even realize Drew Barrymore had a daytime talk show. Drew invites Dylan on the show for a chat between two people with traditionally masculine names. For the first time in the show's history, it generates headlines throughout the mainstream media and gets millions of views on social media. Several months ago, at the height of the backlash against Bud Light, Dylan Mulvaney was interviewed by some unknown YouTuber. The interview gained about 8,000 views in the span of 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. But that couldn't happen at the Streamy Awards, right? I mean, the Streamy Awards are a big deal, right? This is a huge platform. There's absolutely no way this acceptance speech by Dylan Mulvaney failed to draw millions of views. Well, maybe that expectation's a bit too high. Perhaps hundreds of thousands would be a more reasonable expectation. Maybe tens of thousands? As of the recording of this video, which is about 11:30 Central on Monday morning, this acceptance speech has been up for about 10, maybe 11 hours on YouTube. The Streamy YouTube channel has 232,000 subscribers. The acceptance speech by Dylan Mulvaney, 1,400 views. 1,400 views. Now, this story's been picked up by the mainstream media. The Washington Post, New York Post, the Daily Mail, they've all covered this story. And yet, only 1,400 people found enough interest to watch Dylan Mulvaney accept this award? Like I've told you guys before, the mainstream career of Dylan Mulvaney, this career is not sustainable. And it's not sustainable because the career was built on a gimmick. And it's becoming abundantly clear that the gimmick is getting stale. But give me your thoughts. Dylan Mulvaney honored as the Breakout Creator of the Year at the 2023 Streamy Awards. Does anyone even care? Do you think the career path of Dylan Mulvaney is sustainable, or do you think that the gimmick is starting to get stale? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, kc_btl84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.